the one thing that I keep coming across over and over is that you're supposed to have challenges and you're supposed to learn how to overcome them. And I think for me growing up, I never really wanted for anything. I could pretty much do whatever I wanted to. I was always pretty good. So I didn't get in trouble too much. I think I got spanked twice in my life. I was never grounded. But my mom was just completely absent pretty much. You know, she couldn't take care of herself. She couldn't overcome the challenges that she had faced in her life. So I kind of ran away, I think, and didn't want to have any part of that. But at the same time, I thought that my life should be easy all the time, you know? And so I think I kind of fell into that trap when I had the girls, and I've been there for them 100%, you know, like I've been home with them. I've done everything for them and I've tried to do everything for them. And now like I'm kind of rethinking all of that and looking at myself and saying, well, what challenges have I been through? And I have been through challenges, and I have to remind myself that I have made myself stronger. And now I'm getting to a point where I recognize that and I'm seeing these challenges and I'm rising to them, which I had never risen to them before. And so I'm really hoping that I can impart that to my girls. And so now to get to the point is that I'm not making life as easy for them as it used to be.
Julie and I make up a pretty good team. I tend to be the very nurturing type. Candace, I feel exactly like you. You're present. You're there. You're helping them, loving them, and then when it's time to be the bad guy, that's harder. That's harder for me. But Julie's very good at that because she's been an educator and a principal, and she just has much more experience in pushing kids to the point where they grow. And the other thing that constantly goes through my mind is that the day they're born, your lesson is learning to let them go. And every day you get closer to them flying the coop. But that's really hard for me. So I have to constantly be aware of that and not do everything and focus more on teaching and preparing. Lily was always very, like, she's the firstborn, and she was always very interested in many, many things and wanted to learn how to do things. And Matthew's, he's the youngest, and he sits back more. And it seems like I'm constantly saying, Matthew, you're 14 years old. You need to know how to fold a shirt. You need to know how to put all your clothes in the hamper. And you need to know how to make your bed, like from scratch, putting a sheet on and everything. And that's a struggle, is to push him and not just do it yourself. And
as a single mother of 3 children, my constant role was just survival. You know, I'm sitting here so hard trying to remember did I have time to sit on the floor and nurture my kids? No, and that's one of my biggest regrets now, because I see my daughter, who has my 2 grandsons, being so nurturing towards her children, and I appreciate that so much. When was I the good guy? When was I the bad guy? I remember night times when they would be fighting with each other and my head would spin because, it was bedtime. But I'd go downstairs and I'd sit down and I'd feel so horrible that I'd then go up and re-tuck them into bed and tell them how much I love them and, good night. I just want to touch on when you said how things have changed. One of the things that I noticed that really touched my heart when I'd be in New York City with my daughter and we would go to the park, and the amazing thing is the amount of fathers that are pushing them, the strollers and changing the kids' diapers and being so involved. And that to me is beautiful because I didn't have that. My dad always worked. My mother ruled the house. Obviously, my children didn't have a father, and I see this co-parenting with the fathers, and I think that's great today to have that.
And the only thing I could say, and I don't need to say it to my daughter, is just appreciate every minute that you have, and try and hold them. Hold your babies, because they're not going to be babies.
Something that was a bit of my mantra raising Danae was the best gifts that you can give your children are roots and wings. Advice that I would give a new mom is to be honest. Be honest to your children and be honest to yourself.
I think that that's really great. That's really beautiful. I would have to say, for any advice that I would have for a new mother, is that it's okay to let them fail. It's okay to let them fall down 1,000 times. They will pick themselves back up. And the more that they do that, the better. Try to prepare them as much as possible, but they're going to make their own mistakes. And hopefully you'll give them enough tools to be able to pick themselves back up and to keep going.
I'd like to add to remember to stay humble with your kids. I know when I was a kid, it seemed like, the adults are like way up here and you're way down here, and like, whatever they say goes, and like, I don't know, this whole like power dynamic. But one thing I would like to stress is to remember to like apologize when you mess up. Messing up is inevitable, but apologizing can repair the relationship or any hurt that happens. And the sooner you apologize, the better. Like if you wait years and years, it's going to be way different than if you apologize within the hour or the next day. What you're sorry, not just that you're sorry, but what you're sorry for.
I think the greatest thing for me is when my daughter calls me on things like that. If I get upset and I yell and holler like I shouldn't do, and she comes to me and says, we don't talk to each other like that. We work things out. And it's like you're shocked and ashamed for a second, but then you're like so proud that your kid is learning better ways to handle things. And so that's great when your kid kind of shows you up,
Not to be too hard on yourself as a mom, because I think some moms are more harder on themselves and feel pressure or being judged from other moms. Tomorrow is another day, and try to do better tomorrow, because we're all human. It's hard to be a mom. It's hard.
Like Lynn said, I think just forgive yourself and just be willing to roll with punches every single day. So
I've always said for a long time, my kids have taught me so much.
Mm-hmm.